Well, it's less than, I would say, a real worry, but it's clearly a stimulation to stay on top of this and to follow it very closely. This is something we take very seriously. We don't know yet the full implications of it.
Looking at where you are on the vaccines and where you are on the vaccination program, when would you predict normal hits?
We have a prioritization with limited supplies now. Those supplies will become more and more as the months go by. So we're vaccinating people in the priority groups. By the time we get to vaccinating the general public, as it were, sort of open season on anybody that wants it, that likely will not be until the end of March, the beginning of April. Given the number of people in the United States, over 330 million, it likely will take few months before you get 70 to 85% of the people vaccinated. I believe that will not be until mid-end of the summer of 2021.
Once the vulnerable are vaccinated, do you then ease the restrictions, or do you think you have to keep the restrictions until basically most of the population has been vaccinated?
So it isn't going to be like turning a light switch on and off. You're abnormal, you're shut down, and then you turn the switch and you're normal. It's going to be a gradual easing into normality. For example, by the time we get to March and April, we will have enough, as you said correctly, enough of the vulnerable people, the high priority people vaccinated, that we might start doing things a bit differently. When you say normal, getting back to normal, I'm talking about the fall where you won't feel uncomfortable in going to a theater or sitting in a restaurant with normal capacity or watching an athletic event. That's what I'm talking about. But getting back to normality gradually from an economic standpoint, from getting people back to work, I believe that's likely going to start in a few months as we get into March and April.
You talked about being confident that these vaccines could handle the mutations in the virus. Do you still worry that we may end up back at square one at some point this year with suddenly finding actually the vaccines don't work and they can't be easily tweaked?
No, I don't think we're ever going to revert back to square one. So I think we are advanced enough in our vaccine capability that by modifying a bit the vaccine, we may not necessarily have to do that. But if we do have to do that, I don't think it will be a very difficult task.
Dr. Fauci, fascinating as always. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be with you. Thank you for having me.